Okay, fight fans, joining us now all the way from Australia, our guy, Eddie Hearn.
What's up, Eddie?
Good day, mate.
Listen, Eddie, nice. First of all, how long you been in Australia?
I don't know. I guess like less than 24 hours. It's a bit, this time zone's all over the place because you're about to go to bed and then UK is just getting into it and US is just waking up. So all over it's a bit of a nightmare, but looking forward to our first show here on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, a lot to talk about. You know, we want to get into some AJ stuff. But obviously, let's talk about the spicy stuff first. We haven't spoken since the Conor Benn news. We don't know if anything's developed since the fight was canceled. But I do want to give you an opportunity to respond to some of the things that Stephen Espinoza has said that I recently just watched early this morning, and kind of alluding to that the promotion was just worried more about profit and the fight continuing, and kind of saying that you guys knew that Conor Benn tested positive for a banned substance for weeks now. So it's been known for weeks, and I don't know. I mean, it's a harsh statement, so I want to give you the opportunity to.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's a very difficult situation when you're in it. I mean, this was a problem shared by the entire promotion and the commission. It wasn't something, you know, I don't like the word, you know, it was kept from people. It wasn't kept from anyone. You know, ultimately, the commission, who rule whether a fight takes place or not, was aware of this situation from the get-go. There's information about the testing, about, you know, the amounts, and which will come to light, which I can't really comment on because Conor Benn's got a big fight on his hands. Yeah. And you're going to get information. And all I will say is just reserve right. You know, we've been here before with Dillian Whyte. Everyone writ him off. Everyone said his career was over. He was this, he was that. And it turned out he was completely innocent. So let's just at least give the guy, and sometimes in this situation, the reason some of these things aren't, you know, just randomly reported to the world is for that reason. So this wasn't something that anyone tried to brush under the carpet. This is a testing program that's implemented by us, the promotion, and is not acknowledged by the governing body, the local commission, in this fact. So we had to go through a process to determine what would be the way forward. And ultimately, British Boxing Board of Control decided not to sanction the fight. From there, legally, we had the opportunity to challenge that and to beat it or to use another commission. We decided not to because we didn't feel like, you know, similar to the board's view, okay, the best interest of boxing was not to be, you know, taken forward in this instance. But when the, you know, the procedure come through, and again, you'll see from various bits of information from the testing, the opponent's team, you know, the promotional team, that they were in a position where, having reviewed this testing process and all the facts, were willing to move forward with the fight. Ultimately, that at that point is in the hands of the commission. We're not the governing body. We're not the commission. And, you know, there's a lot of hypocrisy out there, in all honesty.
Right. So in other words, the reason why you make, and sorry to cut you off, the reason why you make that initial statement saying we're going to move forward with the fight, because that's the word you were getting from the commission at the point. And you didn't want to be in a position like with Dillian Whyte, where we went through all of this nonsense to turn out that he's innocent. But
what we wanted, was we wanted an opportunity for Conor Benn to be heard, right? And to get a fair hearing like Dillian Whyte got. Dillian Whyte had a hearing prior to the fight. That is why the fight took place. Conor Benn never got given that opportunity. So at that point, we put it in the hands of the commission, and the commission decided we're not going to sanction the fight. We could have got an injunction. We could have used another commission. These were routes we decided not to take. We respect the commission's decision. We don't necessarily think that a lot of the process was right, and I don't think Conor Benn was allowed due process in this instance. But at the end of the day, there's, you know, these people, of course, look, it's opportunities for people like Stephen Espinoza, who's, you know, I mean, look, I'm not going to go into things that have happened on his shows, but sometimes it's a difficult position that's taken out of your hands by the commission. Right. And people talk about Vada testing, etc. Yes, we implemented Vada testing at the request of the promotion and the fighters, you know, and it was paid for outside of the required testing from the commission. Yes. And of course, the key here was all of the commission testing, he passed. So in that respect, we've been here before with Billy Joe Saunders, where he failed a Vada test. The British Boxing Board of Control said, we are not suspending Billy Joe Saunders because we do not acknowledge Vada. And there's precedence there. And Conor Benn is not suspended at the moment. So ultimately, he's clear to fight. But I understand the situation. Of course, not many know the actual facts. We take the criticism on the chin, but we went through the process at the time. Everybody was alerted. And ultimately, you leave these decisions in the hands of the commission. And They made that decision, a decision that could have been challenged. But we decided not to. We understand it was right not to. And now we leave all the information in the hand of Conor Benn's lawyers, who has a big fight on his hands. And you will see a lot of information come to light where I believe you will change your mind. But I will let that play out.
Well, one thing I've been saying is you don't crucify a man until all of the facts are laid on the table.
Of course.
That's just maturity right there. And I do respect the fact that you didn't go to another sanctioning, not a sanctioning body, but to another board. That right there was very respectable. Yeah. But why is it that it just seems like the narrative in boxing is Vada is the supreme testing that people is hard for them to beat. UCAD and everything else is easier. Why is that? Do you know?
Yeah, because sometimes testing levels are different and low. And, there is, again, I can't go too much into what's going to be unearthed in this because I don't want to jeopardize Conor Benn's position and his case in his fight. But there was information like around these testing results that meant that medical experts put comfort in the mind of the other fighter to believe in a non-performance enhancing result. So again, it's difficult. I want to tell you a lot more. But this is all going to come to light. And again, the other fighter, the other team, they're not going to just move forward in this fight with all the correct information. It was information that was reviewed by medical experts, this test. So it wasn't just like a couple of guys down the pub that went, yeah, don't worry about it, let's just crack on. So, but again, from the outset, and everybody jumps on the bandwagon, and sometimes this information is kept from people so that people don't just make assumptions and jump to conclusions. Make one thing clear, at the moment, Conor Benn is not guilty, right? He has had an adverse finding that, again, certain things will come to light. Let the case be heard. His case will be heard and a decision will be made. Until that point, just the same as, as any court of law. Right. And, unfortunately, many people have already made their mind up. Yeah, so that's okay. The people have of course. But so he's in a position and he's in the position he's in. And, again.
But Eddie, can you confirm that Chris Eubank and his team were willing to move forward with the fight? Because there was an interview that I watched that they asked him if Conor reached out to him and he said no, there was no phone call.
No. Conor Benn spoke to Chris. If you watch that interview back, let me make one thing clear. Okay, Chris Lloyd asked Chris Eubank at the weigh-in, have you spoken to Conor Benn today since the news come out? And he said, no, I haven't. Right. When the other team was alerted about the results, Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. spoke on the phone because Conor wanted to explain the situation and tell him that he's innocent, right? Yeah. They had a conversation. All the information was shared with all parties, with Wasserman, with Eubank, with Conor Benn, with the British Boxing Board of Control, the Commission. It was never, don't tell them. And Chris Eubank Jr., after taking medical advice with Wasserman, was prepared to move forward with the bout. Okay. Now from there, we speak to the commission. We say, look, these are the results. These are our arguments in this case. We'd like to have this case heard effectively. Chris Eubank Jr. and Wasserman are happy to move forward with a bout. Ultimately, you are in charge. It's over to you. Now, I was disappointed that we got the official decision on Wednesday of fight week. That was probably the most frustrating thing, but we can't move until we get a decision from the commission. They're the governing body. Now, again, and I don't want to take plaudits for the fact that we could have easily staged this fight. I could have gone to another country. I could have had another commission. I could have gone for an injunction, which we would have won. But ultimately, I understand their decision and I respect it. And if that's the decision that was made, that's what we abide by. We are governed by the British Boxing Board of Control. I'm not interested in overturning that commission, going against that commission. They will make the final say. But we do have to wait for that final say.
So that is clear. You're saying that when Chris Lloyd asked Chris Eubank, have you spoken to Conor? He's saying him today.
Since the news broke.
He spoke to him prior, but not that particular day.
100%. Yes, 100%.
That makes sense.
He spoke to him. He spoke to him when the parties were made aware of the test.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and then when the board made their decision, Chris asked if he spoke to him then, and he hadn't.
Right. Gotcha.
But he spoke to Chris Eubank Jr.
Eddie, with all the facts that you have and that you know, people are already expecting Conor for some punishment to be put in place and Conor be suspended for X amount of months or whatnot. But with all the info that you know and the facts that you have, are you confident that there won't be a suspension and this fight would happen sooner than we think?
I am, but again, I think
never know.
The only way is for it to be heard.
Yeah.
And ultimately, look, we went through, when Dillian Whyte failed that test or had an adverse finding, right? He was ruined, right? By media outlets, by fans, by everybody. And I knew the information around the testing and I knew the facts and I believed in his innocence. And it went to a full hearing and ultimately he was cleared of any wrongdoing, right? No one apologised, by the way, not to me, but to Dillian Whyte. You know, the ones that came out and said, oh, he's a cheat, he's this and that. No one went back after and went, listen, hold my hands up. I'm sorry about that. So we're in the same situation here. Now, maybe the truth comes out and he doesn't clear his name. But all I'm telling you is that from information we have, you have to understand as well, information that allowed the other team to be comfortable to move forward with the fight.
Yeah. That's
so
rare.
again,
That's
like just understand that it's not, you're talking about boxing people,
right?
Okay, so let's let the situation unfold, and people will watch this and say, oh yeah, okay, if it comes to light and I'm wrong and Conor Benn's wrong, you know, I'll take that on the chin as well. But you don't know all the information, so but I understand people's judgment and of certainly the hypocrisy of others in the industry. You know, I've seen some stuff, man. Like, oh, I would never. I mean, come on. Like, there's some like.
What?
No, you're right.
An example of something that you saw.
Well, loads of different promoters, broadcasters, you know, or whose pundits want to come out and say this and that. You know, don't forget we was in that situation with the Dillian Whyte fight.
Yeah.
You know, people move forward in exactly the same situation, but we managed to get a hearing for Dillian Whyte, and we weren't allowed that due process with Conor Benn to clear his name at the time. Now he's going to get that opportunity. Let him have it.
Yeah, well deserved. Everybody should have.
Mind.
You know, I feel like you're in a bad position because, you know, like when your fighter loses, it's a hard position, but when this happens, it's probably even worse. I think that, which is normal, a person's character before something like this happens, either it makes us either jump on the bandwagon quickly and say, yep, I can believe that, or say, this is kind of hard to believe. And personally, if I was to say about Conor Benn's character, I would say that this was very surprising to me, that I would never suspect somebody like him. But there have been other times, like, you know, maybe a person like Billy Joe who had other kind of things going on in his life, you know, whether it was true or not, you would be more quick to believe because of the negative things that he's done in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Conor,
did this totally surprise you when this happened?
Yeah, because so many things don't add up. Right. And again, I don't want to, like, it's difficult. I really want to speak on this and fight his corner, but he's got his own fight to take place. But you have to understand, like, certain things, like he implemented this testing, right? He is the most meticulous guy going. He signed up for 3 different testing processes, right? There's tests that happened around the test. The amount, you know, in the test, like, I can't tell you how small it is, and was tested previously to that and after that. There's a lot that doesn't make sense, and there's a lot that the scientists are telling me. This, you know, but again, like, just let the process unfold.
Yeah, okay.
And again, I love this sport. I love this sport, and there's one thing I don't like is people trying to cheat in sport. If I felt this kid I'd never talk to him again, because I tell you what, he's given me the week from hell.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not, and I'm trying to react to this and trying to, you know, do the right thing, trying to play by the commission, trying to, you know, let things unfold. But ultimately, the information that I have seen means that I believe many people are going to change their mind on this. That's all I can say. And give the kid the chance.
Yeah.
Because you deserve that. But I also understand the world we live in, and there'll be a lot of people watching this interview who go, "Oh, shut up," and you know, he's guilty. Okay,
he deserves his day in court for sure.